Welcome back to Soul Spirit Stories. If you love emotional, real-life inspired stories that touch the heart and stir the soul, you're in the right place. Before we begin, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this story with someone who believes in compassion, hope, and the power of doing what's right. Let's begin. It was one of those rainy evenings where the clouds seemed to carry the weight of the whole world. The streets were slick with water, reflecting the dim orange glow of the streetlights. Jack Morgan, a single father in his mid-30s, was driving home after a long day at the mechanic shop. His little daughter Emily was fast asleep in the back seat, clutching her favorite stuffed rabbit. Life had been hard for Jack since his wife passed away 3 years ago. Every morning he woke up before dawn, made Emily breakfast, dropped her at school, and then worked until his hands ached. But tonight felt different. The storm was heavier than usual, and something in his chest told him to slow down. As he turned onto the empty country road that led to their small house, his headlights caught something on the side of the road. A car door open, hazard lights flashing weakly, and what looked like a figure lying in the mud. Jack slowed down immediately, heart pounding. "Emily, stay here, sweetheart," he whispered as he pulled over. He turned on his emergency lights and stepped into the rain, boots sinking into the wet ground. The figure on the ground wasn't moving. As he came closer, he saw it was a woman, wearing a torn police uniform, her badge half covered in dirt and blood. Her face was pale, lips trembling, and there was a deep wound near her shoulder. "Hey! Can you hear me?" Jack shouted over the rain, kneeling beside her. Her eyes fluttered open, barely focusing on him. "Help, please," she whispered, her voice weak and trembling. Jack didn't hesitate. He tore off his jacket, pressed it against her wound, and looked around. No other cars, no sound but the storm. He couldn't leave her here. "Hold on, I'm going to get you out of here," he said firmly. He ran back to his truck, grabbed an old blanket, and gently lifted her into his arms. She was light, but her body was limp, and he could feel how fast her heart was beating. Emily peeked from the back seat, eyes wide. "Daddy, who is she?" "She's hurt, honey. She's a police officer. We're going to help her." Jack laid the woman gently across the back seat beside Emily, then drove as fast as he could toward the nearest hospital, which was nearly 40 minutes away. He kept talking to the woman to keep her conscious. "What's your name?" he asked. "Officer Grace." "Grace Miller," she murmured, gripping his sleeve weakly. "Please, they'll come back." "They who?" She didn't answer, only closed her eyes as another wave of pain crossed her face. Jack pressed harder on the gas. "Stay with me, Grace. You're not dying on me tonight." The drive felt endless. Emily kept whispering prayers in the back seat. When they finally reached the hospital, Jack rushed in, shouting for help. Nurses came running, and within seconds, Grace was wheeled away into the emergency room. Jack stood there, soaked to the bone, Emily clutching his hand. He didn't even know what just happened. Hours passed. The rain had stopped by the time a doctor came out. "She's alive," the doctor said, "but she lost a lot of blood. If you hadn't brought her in when you did, she wouldn't have made it." Jack let out a long breath of relief. Emily smiled softly, still holding her rabbit. "She's very lucky," the doctor added. "We'll need to contact her department." "You said you found her alone?" "Yes," Jack replied. "She mentioned someone might come back." "I don't know what she meant," the doctor frowned. "We'll inform the police. You should stay close tonight, just in case they have questions." Jack nodded. He didn't know why, but something told him this wasn't just a simple accident. The next morning, Jack was about to leave the hospital when 2 detectives approached him. "Mr. Morgan?" one asked. "I'm Detective Harris. You found Officer Grace Miller last night." "Yes, she was on the road, hurt badly." "What happened to her?" Harris exchanged glances with his partner. "Grace was working undercover. We lost contact with her about 12 hours before you found her. We believe she was ambushed by a group involved in illegal trafficking. She must have tried to get away but didn't make it far." Jack's eyes widened. "You mean the people who attacked her might still be around?" "That's possible," Harris said. "Thank you for helping her. You might have saved her life, and maybe her investigation too." For the next few days, Jack couldn't stop thinking about Grace. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw her lying there in the mud, helpless. Something about the way she'd looked at him, like she was fighting for her last breath, stayed with him. A few days later, as he was fixing a customer's car at the shop, he heard a soft voice behind him. "You're the guy who saved me, aren't you?" He turned and saw her, Grace, standing there in plain clothes. Her arm still in a sling, but her smile gentle. "You're supposed to be resting," Jack said with a half smile. "I couldn't stay there without thanking you properly," she said. "I owe you my life," Jack shrugged. "You don't owe me anything." Anyone would have done the same. Not everyone would have risked their life on a dark road for a stranger, Grace said. "Especially with a child in the car." Jack chuckled softly. "Guess I didn't think about that." Emily ran out from the office, her face lighting up. "You're okay," she shouted, hugging Grace's leg. Grace knelt down, smiling warmly. "I am, thanks to your daddy." That day marked the start of something unexpected. A quiet bond between a wounded officer and a single dad who'd stopped to care. Grace started visiting often, bringing donuts for Emily and coffee for Jack. They talked about life, how Grace had joined the police to make a difference, how Jack was still learning to balance work and fatherhood, how both of them knew what loss felt like. But as their friendship grew, danger quietly followed. One night, while Jack was closing the shop, he noticed a black SUV parked across the street. Its engine idled for a while before driving off. It happened again the next night, the third night, he told Grace. Her expression darkened. "That's them. They think I'm dead. If they find out I survived, we need to tell the police," Jack interrupted. Grace shook her head. "Not yet. There's someone dirty inside the department. That's why they found me in the first place. I can't trust anyone except you." Jack stared at her, shocked. "You're saying one of your own?" "Yes, someone leaked my location. I was supposed to meet a contact the night you found me. Instead, I got ambushed." Jack swallowed hard. "So what do we do?" "I need to finish what I started," Grace said. "There's a file, proof of everything. But I can't go back to my apartment. It's being watched." Jack hesitated for a moment, then nodded. "Then you're staying here. Both of you are safe with me." For the next few days, Grace hid out in Jack's small house behind the shop. Emily loved having her around, calling her Officer Grace and insisting she join them for dinner every night. It felt almost normal, except for the constant tension lingering in the air. One evening, as they sat together watching the rain again, Grace said quietly, "You should have left me that night. You had your daughter to think about." Jack looked at her, eyes serious. "If I had left you, she would have seen her dad drive away from someone dying. That's not the kind of man I want her to remember." Grace smiled faintly, tears in her eyes. "You're a good man, Jack Morgan." But before either of them could say another word, a loud crash came from outside, the sound of glass shattering. Jack jumped to his feet, motioning for Grace to stay down. He peeked through the window and saw headlights approaching fast, the same black SUV. Grace pulled her gun from her bag, her face turning pale. "They found me." Jack grabbed Emily, rushing her to the back room. "Stay with me, honey, don't make a sound." The door burst open. Two men in dark coats stormed in, guns raised. Grace fired first, a warning shot, and chaos erupted. Jack ducked behind the counter, shielding Emily as Grace returned fire, hitting one attacker in the leg. The other retreated, firing wildly. Jack crawled toward the phone, dialing 911 with trembling hands. "We need police, now!" The minutes that followed felt like hours. When sirens finally echoed in the distance, the attackers fled into the night. Grace slumped against the wall, breathing heavily. "It's over," she whispered. But Jack could tell she didn't believe it. The police arrived, and Grace turned herself in, explaining everything. The corruption, the ambush, the evidence she'd been gathering. It took weeks, but eventually the investigation uncovered the truth. A high-ranking officer had been leaking information to criminals for years. Grace's courage and Jack's help had finally brought him down. Months passed. Life slowly returned to normal. Grace was reinstated and honored for her bravery. Jack's shop started doing better, partly because the story had spread around town. The mechanic who saved a cop's life. One spring morning, Grace came by again, this time in full uniform, looking healthier than ever. "I wanted to say goodbye," she said softly. "They're transferring me to another division far from here." Emily's smile faded. "But I'll miss you." Grace knelt down and hugged her tightly. "I'll miss you too, kiddo. You keep your dad out of trouble for me, okay?" Emily giggled, nodding. When she stood up, she looked at Jack. There was something unspoken in her eyes, gratitude, connection, maybe even love that neither dared to admit. "Thank you," she said simply, "for saving my life and for giving me something to believe in again." Jack smiled. "Take care of yourself."